Hey everybody, Aaron Rift here from NoDQ.com to talk about the worst babyface turns in wrestling history. Sometimes you turn a guy babyface and it just doesn't work. The guy is better off as a heel, he plays the heel character well, or for whatever other reason, it doesn't work. So I've come up with some names here and I've gotten some input from you guys. I posted something on Facebook and Twitter, got a lot of responses. So let's go over some of these turns that didn't work. Let's start off with the natural disasters in 1992. You had Earthquake and Typhoon, these two monsters, and this will be a pattern here where WWE has these monster heel characters and then they turn them into these happy-go-lucky baby faces, and it really waters down the character and goes against what they are. You know, before I talked about AJ Styles being a bad heel because he's this high flyer who does all these spectacular moves, and turning him heel goes against the kind of wrestler and character he is. And the same can be said here when you have a monster heel character. You know, they're slow moving and they're all about power moves and just wearing guys down, and you want to see the underdog try to make a comeback against this giant monster. So turning a monster-like character babyface, it just doesn't naturally work from a psychology standpoint. So when WWE turned the natural disasters baby faces, it didn't work. I mean, these guys are these giant monsters, and how can you cheer for them when they're the guys that are going to be going out there dominating people? I mean, you want to see the underdogs. You naturally want to cheer the underdogs. You want to cheer for the smaller guys and see the smaller guys try to beat down the big guys and try to overcome them. You know, nobody wants to see Goliath dominate David. They want to see David come back and beat him or whatever. So with the natural disasters, it didn't work, and you know, they had a short run as baby faces, and then both of them ended up being gone from the company. So, I mean, it pretty much killed their careers in WWE. You know, Earthquake was this massive heel. I mean, he was feuding with Hulk Hogan, and he had this big run, and then he turned babyface, and people stopped caring about him. Next heel turn here, or should I say babyface turn, that didn't work out was Fit Finlay. Finlay came into WWE in 2006, and he was a great heel, and he had Hornswoggle as the guy helping him out to win matches, and you know, it was working. Him as a heel was working fine. But then WWE did this whole storyline with Hornswoggle being Vince McMahon's illegitimate son, and this led to Finlay turning babyface, and Finlay went from having like this dark music to this happy-go-lucky Irish music, and you know, it really didn't work at all. And Finlay and Hornswoggle as a babyface combo, I mean, people didn't want to see it. And you know, part of Finlay's act he would use the shillelagh to win matches, and you know, that's cheating. That's what heels do. So at this point, you know, you took that away from him, and you know, he was just a bland babyface. And I mean, it was nothing against him. It's just he works better as a heel. So that run did not work out. Finlay is a babyface. Next up on the list here, the Great Khali. The Great Khali came into WWE like the Natural Disasters. He was a monster heel. He was dominant, and you know, people say what they will about Great Khali, that he's a terrible wrestler or whatever, but as a heel, I mean, he was very intimidating. I mean, he's this huge guy, scary looking guy, and it just makes sense to have him as a heel. And you know, when he's a heel, he doesn't really have to do much. He can just stand there and look mean and just throw people around, and you know, he can get away with it. But then they did this complete character change, and they turned the Great Khali into the Punjabi Playboy. And we got some pretty damn awful segments as a result of this. We had the Khali kiss cam, and you know, it's just goofy. He's just this goofy mid-card babyface, not even mid-card at this point. I mean, it's funny. He went from being the world heavyweight champion as a heel, and now he's barely on the card at all. I mean, he shows up and, you know, maybe in a comedy segment or whatever, and that's it. And, you know, they really watered down the character, and there's really no point in having him around at this point. I mean, the whole thing that got him over was just being this huge freak of nature monster, and now he's just a clown. So, I mean, they completely ruined the Great Khali, and for some reason they keep him around. I don't know. Next up is Mark Henry. WWE has really dropped the ball with Mark Henry over the years. I mean, it's funny how he's been with WWE for almost 20 years now, and only in the last year or two have they finally gotten his character right. They've turned Mark Henry babyface. They did the whole sexual chocolate thing, and that was okay for the Attitude Era. But I think that the babyface turn that really flopped was in 2009 when they turned him face and teamed him up with MVP, and they gave him the red trunks, and he was the Kool-Aid Man or something. I don't know, but it didn't work. It was just so weird seeing Mark Henry as a baby face. He was a super happy-go-lucky baby face. He was trying to wave to the crowd and smiling to the ring. I mean, it was lame, and they finally turned him heel and just made him a dominant monster, and that's the role that really works best for him, is just going out there and kicking people's asses. That's what people want to see, and he's this big, large, intimidating guy. They want to see him go out there and just be a scary monster, not a happy-go-lucky, smiling babyface. Next up, Santino Marella. Santino Marella was a great heel, in the 2007-2008 period, and I was really enjoying his stuff as a heel. I thought he was very entertaining, and then they turned him babyface, and at least for me personally, that completely ruined him. I mean, I could not get into him as a babyface at all. I think that the comedy he does is really lame, and the whole Cobra thing, just ripping off Mr. Sacco. I was never a big fan of all that stuff, and I guess WWE loves it because they're always having him involved in something. He's always part of the DVD projects, doing interviews, and it's just so lame, and it brings down those DVDs so much when he's on them. And, I'm just not a fan of the babyface Santino character, and I thought that there was so much more you could have done with him as a heel. And I really feel that that's what suits him best, is being a heel, not this really over-the-top, goofy babyface. Next up on the list is The Miz from last year, 2012. The thing about The Miz is I thought he would make a good babyface because fans were starting to cheer for him, and it seemed like that was the direction that things were going. The fans were getting more and more behind him, and he represented a guy that people didn't think would make it. People didn't think The Miz would be a huge superstar. So he was one of those guys who was an underdog. He overcame the odds and became a big star in WWE. So one would think when he turned babyface, it would put him over the top, but for some reason it didn't work. The problem is that when The Miz turned face, he didn't really change up anything about his act, and he was still as arrogant and cocky as ever, and it made him annoying. The fact that he's a babyface now, but he's doing all the annoying stuff, it just didn't work at all. And he has really gotten lost in the shuffle as a babyface too. I mean, he's barely around, and he does the Miz TV segments, but it's just he's awkward as a babyface right now. I don't know if they need to do something else with him or change up his character. I don't know, but whatever they're doing right now, it's just not working. They're trying to give him the rub off of Ric Flair, giving him the figure four leg lock, and it's just not working, at least in my opinion. All right, next up on the list is a turn that I felt really killed this character. I'm talking about Doink the Clown. When Doink the Clown came into WWE, he was this heel clown, and it just works perfectly because a lot of people are afraid of clowns. They have that phobia, and Doink the Clown as a heel professional wrestling character was awesome, I thought. And it was something unique and different, and I loved it. I loved heel Doink. And for some reason, WWE decided to turn him babyface and make him kid-friendly. And it just completely killed the character dead, in my opinion. Doink the Clown was never the same after this, and they brought in Dink as his little sidekick. It was so lame. And then they even had the Survivor Series match with Link, Wink, and Pink, and it was just stupid. And, I was just dreading all the Doink the Clown segments after he turned babyface. So this did not work. Heel Doink was awesome. Babyface Doink, complete fail. All right, next up, now we're getting down to, in my opinion, the top 3 worst babyface turns of all time. So number 3, Lex Luger turning babyface in 1993. The problem with this babyface turn is it was completely random and there was no good reason behind it. I mean, at least in storyline, the real reason why he turned babyface was because Hulk Hogan was leaving the company and WWE desperately needed a new top babyface. So they had this 4th of July segment where people were trying to body slam Yokozuna, and then all of a sudden the narcissist Lex Luger shows up. All of a sudden he's no longer the narcissist. He's got a red, white, and blue T-shirt. He comes down, takes off his shirt, body slams Yokozuna, and all of a sudden we're supposed to be behind this guy as the new top babyface in WWE. So it's just completely random. And then they did this Lex Express thing, which was lame. And maybe it could have worked, but WWE certainly ruined. If there was any momentum that Lex Luger had as babyface, it was all gone with the stupid finish to the SummerSlam '93 main event. It's a big pay-per-view, and this is your chance to go all the way with Luger. If you're going to go with him, give him the title and see what happens. But no, WWE does a lame count-out finish, and nobody cares about Luger after that. And they care about him so little that WWE has to do this storyline at the Royal Rumble where Bret Hart and Lex Luger have a tie, and then Bret Hart goes on to win the title at WrestleMania. So, WWE goes back to Bret Hart as champion again because things just don't work out with Lex Luger. Number 2 of the worst babyface turns in wrestling history, Alberto Del Rio from this year. Well, you have a bad babyface turn when you turn the guy and then 2 weeks later you have him running over Santa Claus. I mean, this was just a fail right from the beginning. They had Alberto Del Rio right after his face turn accidentally run down Santa Claus, and then John Cena has to get payback on Santa's behalf. It was so stupid, and then WWE had to try to salvage it by putting the world title on him, figuring they put the title on him and they push him as the new top Mexican babyface in WWE, and that didn't really work either. So then WWE tries changing his music, and they give him this fast-paced, upbeat music, and that doesn't work either. And then they try having this anti-American, anti-immigrant character, Jack Swagger, come in, and that doesn't work either. So, I mean, they've been trying one thing after another to get people to cheer Alberto Del Rio as a babyface, and it just doesn't work. I think that, the Alberto Del Rio character is this, Mexican aristocrat. He's this wealthy Mexican guy, and you just naturally don't like him because he's wealthy and he brags about his wealth and he comes out in the fancy cars. That's all part of Del Rio's character. So it doesn't really work as a babyface, and WWE's tried several things and it hasn't been working at all. And finally here, the number 1 worst babyface turn of all time. I think a lot of people would agree with this as the top. Randy Orton turning babyface 2004. He won the World Heavyweight title from nobody. He found the belt in the middle of the ring, and he became champion. And yes, I know it was Chris Benoit. It was a joke. But the next night on Raw, you have Triple H and Evolution turn on Randy Orton. And granted, this was a great segment. The whole deal with Batista holding up Randy Orton and then Triple H giving the thumbs down. I mean, this was a great segment. But the follow-up was just awful. Randy Orton, it was just too soon to turn him babyface. His character wasn't developed enough yet, and it flopped big time. Nobody cared about Randy Orton as a babyface at this point. And, Triple H won the title at that next pay-per-view, and Randy Orton was just kind of there. And, he wasn't getting the cheers as a babyface, so WWE had to quickly turn him back heel, and he went on to feud with Undertaker, and that resurrected his career, and he stayed as a heel for several more years, and that was really the best way to go with him. It was definitely too soon to turn him babyface. All right, that'll do it for my thoughts on the worst babyface turns of all time. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment, youtube.com/NoDQCW. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest in WWE and TNA.